Moving on.
Particular bans. Some very big setup bans for both teams, but this is something that I want to talk about. The Mbessa being banned. I know before and in the break we were talking about the reliance on Cassante and Mbessa moving forward as well.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, I was just gonna say, like, are we getting the Cassante? No, they're just prioritizing a pretty strong Varus. That was the prio, right? Coming into the second phase, no Jhin means that Varus and Ashe become very high priority.
I mean, locking Varus early means that you can deal with the Cassante if it gets locked in, right? We know that on-hit Varus is pretty decent at dealing with tank bruiser assassins in the top lane, so we're not too worried if Cassante gets locked in as a whole. But I remember one of the bans that we did end up missing now is this Kaisa. So taking what is objectively not a great laning matchup for the Kaisa, but saying JackeyLove is so darn good on this pick, we will let him have a bad lane, a bad matchup to get that pick itself.
Yeah, we've seen first of all, Kaisa's in general in the LPL be absolutely insane, but JackeyLove's Kaisa is second to none. He has a skin on it for a reason. The Aurora as the twofold carry comp from top esports here.
Big damage coming in from TES right here with this Kaisa and the Aurora. I'm expecting big dive to come on through, but what jungler are they going to be able to pair it? We kind of noted at the end of that draft, no Wukong thanks to Flandre picking that up. So AD bruisers, especially the Viego and the Xin Zhao, now become high value as we see Tarzan pick it up, and whatever support they kind of can pull up on the end here is great, but it needs to be engaged.
Has to be, right? Like, you have to find some things to tie up this damage dealing nature of top esports. The Rakan, a nice pick for Kael, kind of in and out of a team fight composition there as well, but top esports still have a lot of questions on their own.
I would like to say that this does give Kael a little more agency. I think fell a little flat in the Leona game, and a champion that can have agency, but especially in this game, he's not going to be playing against a Poppy. And whether it gets support counterpicked again and he ends up feeling pretty rough, we'll have to wait and see. But we're heading into a second set of bans now. I think you might want to protect Kael this time round. So something like a Nautilus ban, it's a great pairing with the Kaisa anyway. So just getting rid of that tried and tested duo, not going to be a miss, I think.
Okay. Coming around objectives, AL are going to have such good snap engage with the Xin Zhao and the Varus being able to turn with this Rakan. I'm looking at TES. It does feel like, again, they have strong enough solo laners that give them the agency to both play the map and also have strong team fight impact. And then you're just giving kind of like the keys to the kingdom here for JackeyLove with this Kaisa, the freedom to be able to move around in team fights. So second phase, what I'm looking for both of these teams is what kind of strong mid matchup are we going to get for someone like Shanks? And in that support position, like we were kind of noting here, no Rakan here for Chris, one of his best champions, and there are only so many now with the Nautilus as well taken.
I do think it becomes nice and easy for top this time around. They can take jungle, which is a matchup that they see. They'll be able as well to take support, a matchup that they see. So top are getting, now in the second phase, a couple of good counter picks. AL, their counter picks going to those solo lanes. So both of these teams have got options and have got tools, rather, to keep themselves at bay and keep themselves with the advantage.
Just little shout out to the Shin hover there. Hope maybe giving his jungler a little bit of a laugh in that situation. I do really like the Alistar here in terms of just setting up the team comp for top esports and providing a body to kind of soak up a lot of that frontal engage that AL are bringing.
What is this pick here going to be for our solo laners? I mean, they are playing into the Jacks. The Ryze is going to provide them with a lot of tankiness and the ability to also match on the side lane. So AL are a very short-ranged composition for the time being, especially if this is going to be our on-hit Varus that we'll be seeing. And so what does Flandre kind of prepare here? This can be the Jax if he really wants to. I think the Gragas is another great answer, is going to do very well in the laning phase. And while the later game is going to be a bit tough for him, the fact that the solo laners here are going to have so much impact on being able to destroy TES's backline is going to be really fun to watch.
And I love the Gragas answer, right? Obviously 369 playing Jax this game. Gragas, a notorious answer to the lamppost man in the top lane. You channel that body slam, pretty much any chance.
It's a swap.
I'm just saying, there's some flex-a-roonies potentially happening here. Top esports looking to have played with their draft a little bit here and have that Jax go to the jungle, and Aatrox locked in as a 5th pick there for 369.
this was one of the unique picks that we saw in the playoffs, was that Kanavi picked up, or was it, yeah, it was definitely the playoffs where we got to see Kanavi on the Jacks. I love that they're flexing this, and I feel like we're seeing more of like an AL style of a draft where they're utilizing these strong solos and blindables that then can turn into kind of playing around your jungle. So I'm looking again now, Kanavi on this AD jungler. He has so much that he can do versus Zhao, and then we get into late game team fights, he just jumps on top of Hope, and there's no way he can play.
And it is exactly what you love to see from Red side, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they use the 5th pick well.
That's the biggest thing, is like trying to figure out how these draft adaptations come to be. But I have to ask, on AL's side of things, how do they dissect this? I mean, their team fight looks very good, but they have to get to a point where they have a few items, it seems.
I will say as well, I do like that they, well, I mean, we're probably going to see lane swaps, but the idea is that this Varus should be able to get an advantage in the 1 versus, or in the 2 versus 2, that you will have a fairly strong bot laner coming out of this. So Hope, I think, is going to have a large amount of agency this game. I think Ryze versus Aurora in that mid lane shouldn't be favored one way nor the other. Ryze is going to be able to farm pretty consistently. So it is going to be coming around the setups and who's at the right place at the right time. Because I think that the range as well for both these sides relatively similar. We've highlighted the low range that we see from AL, but on the flip side of that, Aatrox, Jax, Kaisa, you know, they all want to go in as well.
Yeah, they do. The setup is there. We're into game 2 here shortly, and the solo lanes maybe needed to pick up a little bit of the spotlight here in this one, more so than the ADs, although we have that classic JackeyLove IG Kaisa skin, bringing back the old just for the new as we get into game 2.
欢迎来到英雄联盟。敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Small note on our rune choices. It is going to be that on the lethality style of Varus if keystones are anything to go by. So you're relying on the DPS from Shanks and the Ryze to be that consistent source, whereas Hope and August are going to be looking as a laning threat and a bully for the early game.
The lethal tempo Jax, I like it.
Oh, recognizing he's going to have to get in there, right? Look at how we were talking about how low range this composition was going to be, right? You're talking about the Gragas, the Zhao, the Ryze, and really the only long range threat we're going to be seeing from Hope is this lethality. I wanted to touch on it a little bit just because typically when you're going on hit, you have all of like these Terminus, the Wit's Ends, the Rage Blades, all of this. Going for lethality, I think, does offer, you know, some unique stats, especially being able to have access to something like Edge of Night, which I think is going to be very important in stopping something like a Counter-Strike or even Chris Engage at the front.
Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. And the lethality just gives you a different style, like you were kind of mentioning or foreshadowing, a different style of damage on this composition.
No
going to be
swap.
hard and figuring out how they're going to get into the fold of things. But yeah, talking about it, no lane swap this time. Randoms are unfortunately not thriving.
So expecting now then that Hope and Kael should get a really good advantage. They have more range, they have better long-range damage to keep Crisp and JackeyLove at bay. Level 1 Alistar is a notorious sack of meat that does nothing, and the race for level 2 will go the way of AL. We'd like to think.
Like a cow-shaped sack of meat.
True. They both hit at the same time, though, so it doesn't seem like there's going to be much in the way. It's going to be a small amount of damage, and both junglers are pathing towards the bottom side of the map. Kael!
Ooh, they caught JackeyLove. He's going to take a huge chunk of that trade, and it will be AL that went out in the 2v2 bot lane.
Already channeling recall, JackeyLove knowing that he can't stick around in this bot lane, and this is what we're expecting, that AL have got this really strong bot lane duo. They took the Varus early, JackeyLove ego picks his Kaisa into it, and Top Esports, they knew that this was going to happen. You have to anticipate that this is the bot lane duo that you're going to be against if you don't swap.
And they're paying the price there, as you saw also in the little ticker that came up. 500 games in the LPL for Kanavi, as he's going to be invaded on by Tarzan. He hasn't been spotted out just yet, now will be, as JackeyLove is coming back from base. Does have the chance to provide him with a little pressure. Tarzan just makes the difference. Maybe type jungle dip for that one, as now Kanavi has to flash away from the rest of the fight. Hope is over here now, able to do some damage too. They go in onto Crisp. He is just that sack of meat like you were talking about, and AL now need to get an escape route going because Creme is the first one to move. I don't know if
he's the escape route.
Yeah, I think he's going to abuse some invisibility coming out from the Aurora there. Tough. We're still getting a bot lane play, though. It seems like they're very much wanting to make sure that Tarzan gets this bottom side quadrant. Kanavi's going to help out his bottom lane push. And what I want to see from AL is how are they going to play on strong first item spikes? And we're getting a teleport. Okay, we're not giving up this blue buff for free, guys.
This is Creme.
Deja vu from game number 1. We'll just keep the fisticuffs rolling. As the Scuttle Crab is the focus for AL. They do get Creme, just walks into the TP from Shanks, but is able to hop skip away from that one. And we get all the TPs, we get nothing of it.
So overall, still a big win for AL, right? They steal away a camp in the bot side jungle where Tarzan's going to be able to collect all 6 of his camps also. There's a lot of experience shared between JackeyLove and Kanavi, so the Kaisa set further behind. And in that sequence as well, Hope did pick up a good amount of experience, has an opportunity to set a freeze down in the bot lane as well. So it's going to go from bad to worse for JackeyLove.
You just see the ward. As soon as he gets spotted, moves on backwards. Bit of damage here from Kael and Hope.
还没完呢。
Once you get those blight stacks going, the auto attack, how much health did he have? Less than 10. But JackeyLove wants to get it back. Can't get the auto, and he's down. JackeyLove in his skin is taken alive.
The lane was going to be rough. The only way out was through, and unfortunately, JackeyLove falters at the final hurdle.
Oh man, maybe TS were not comfortable with the lane swap just because it is an Aatrox versus Rakan. Maybe that's some of their thought process. Usually if it's against a smaller, lower range, like kind of
They're going to get
support.
comfy now.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's going to be where, look, we're swapping on over. We've got Grubs spawning in 35 seconds. Now we take a look at this replay. Kael on this Rakan, again, such a big takeaway from a player like Crisp, and then their ability to find damage. This is what we wanted to see from AL's bottom lane coming in, and JackeyLove now has to pay the price, losing his summoners and basically the rest of this lane.
I would argue this is never worth to go for as JackeyLove because you don't get to dictate the wave what happens to it. You're always going to be giving a kill over to Hope. And we talked about it actually being a swap. Well, no, Flandre matches recall, walks down to that bot side, and now we have the same laning assignment just on the other side of the map. Hope walks up, catches a big wave. He's coming out into this fight with a serrated Dirk on top of the tier that's going to start stacking. And from Top Esports, starting this up is very brazen.
They're just going to try to rush it before AL can even get over here. They do bring multiple bodies to go ahead and take this one. This is fully under vision, but they take 2 before AL can even answer to them. And honestly, you take that trade, now you just got to get out with your life with it. Flandre does have a little bit of a flank angle. Ultimate available as well. Round warp there for Shanks. Big cast. And there you go. Bamba Man has arrived. And AL looking to follow that one up with a little bit of style as Round warp comes through. It's like you say you need the ultis, and they deliver with them. JackeyLove taken down by Hope. And that'll be 2 kills now, Hope's direction.
It's going to be a lot of those Grubs going over, and hopefully TES with their side laners can maybe get something done. Oh, 369.
Okay, 369 trying to roll some 9s in this fight. Has Kanavi right behind him as well. See if they can get the leap strike, counter strike with Tarzan coming right around the corner to provide some defense.
So a big win there for Top, getting out Hope's barrier, but overall the long sequence is very much AL favored. They get themselves not 1, or they just get the 1 grub, but 2 kills off the top of that as well. You mentioned it in the fight, Mazel. Top just needed to run, and unfortunately, Cast from Flandre keeps them nice and engaged.
I thought this was going to be a better fight. I mean, you have 369 who can threaten the backline. There's no ultimates from either our supports or AD carries, but this barrel from Flandre just opens it up, makes it so impossible for TES to even consider making this play. I was looking at Creme. You have this ultimate with this between worlds. Maybe there was an angle, but Flandre just puts a complete stop to that and decides that we're winning this Grub side fight. We're at least getting the feats of warfare.
I do like this attempt on the back end by 369 and Kanavi. It's a little bit zealous. Like, I don't know if they were really going to get anything from it, but they got the barrier. Okay,
Drake
we go back to line.
Okay, and to AL, I think should now be looking to take pretty much every objective that they get. They have this early game lead, and usually in stale games you will see these objectives traded, but we're going to get desynced timers on respawns, right? 2 minutes now when the grubs spawn, and then 5 minutes until the next dragon. AL have got a real opportunity to start running away with this game. The Varus with this lethality style falls off as we get later, but is hitting an apex when that Drake spawns in 5 minutes time. Will have whichever lethality item he chooses to finish first. Notably, the Youmu's is the go-to. but he's just bullying out JackeyLove under this turret, and they can move this Varus and this Rakan around the map, who are going to have XP and
Oh, they're setting up a dive
to wherever they want to.
And honestly, with the way that Hope has been playing, this is the kind of guy you want to put that stress onto. As Top Esports, they found angles to make it down here. They get the initial headbutt pulverize onto Hope. Hope gonna pop that Chains of Corruption down. Chris going down to the hail of arrows. That's a big pickup, because now it's Top Esports without a big frontliner. Kanavi going for Tarzan. He finds him in the jungle fight. Hope is getting low here with Creme right in his face, and Creme's gonna get his kill. As now the double kill goes through. Flandre, big bumping, hitting over the head, and that's gonna be multiple kills going down either way.
Oh man, that should have been the play for TES. They just needed to make a fast play, make sure they can stop the dive, get JackeyLove some waves, man, because he is struggling under the weight of AL's strength. Ah man, that's such a tough fight to play.
So as we move later into this game for Top Esports, it's expected that JackeyLove is going to be the carry, and that's why it's important that they get him waves. Little look at this replay though, it's Chris goes in just a little too soon, gets Chain of Corruption taken down, but Kanavi on the backside of this fight actually has a really solid sequence here, takes down Tarzan, and then knows that again he has to fight his way through Kael to have any chance of getting out alive. Creme is the notable pickup that was shut down that takes down the Varus. So now eyes turn to Top Esports, their mid laner, who we need to see big things from. In game number 1 was present, good on the RE, but not the star. He's been given that gold in a game where his team are struggling, has to be becoming that star now.
And I know when we talked before the show, I mean, Creme is a guy who has been doing his job in a lot of respects, but maybe not the brightest of showouts, is kind of the guy that Top Esports is willing to commit to in that mid lane, and wanting to see that from him here. I mean, we remember his Aurora game last time around. Can he bring a little bit reminiscent from that?
That is going to be the big question, I think, for Creme and how he builds his year for 2025. Last year was mostly just like, hey, let's integrate you into a top-level team coming off of OMG. How is you kind of be able to play amongst the big dogs? Had so much experience going to all the international events, and now I think this is going to have to be the year where he rounds out his play, whether it's on the mages or on more of those assassins that we know him for.
And this is, again, to remind people, we are going to be crowning a new LPL mid laner, a champion here. Both Creme and Shanks yet to win an LPL title. So one of them will get it at the end of this best of 5.
Somebody has to.
Somebody's got to be forced now. And this is a great opportunity for Creme in a game, like I say, where their team is struggling, to maybe put that statement down and say, actually, I can now begin to battle, to dice with the greats. We've had so many good LPL mid laners in the past. I'm going to put my name on that pedestal with them.
Exactly, and none of those big names are here, only the 2 point and present, Shanks and Creme. We are getting to first item spikes. Rod of Ages had been completed there by Shanks. You did get that U-moves for Hope. Right behind him, JackeyLove with the Static Shiv. And we have that Malignance for Creme. So we do have some nice fighting potentials, but when we zoom out a little bit and look at this game, I think scaling factors do have to become a conversation here for both teams, because it feels like both teams are willing to let this one sit for a little bit, like game 1.
So I am happy to look at scaling on Top Esports and say they've probably got the advantage just by nature of having Jax plus Kaisa. Those two go crazy as we move later on into the game. The scaling that AL do have is in Shanks. I think Ryze in a late game can start to dice with the majority of what Top have got going for themselves. But you also have to consider how these fights are going to play out. And when you've got this really short range composition from Top Esports, the cask from Flandre will be the most important cooldown, because if that can split up the fight, making sure that AL can just quickly pick one target, it's going to completely alter how these fights play out.
Yeah, I'm kind of just looking right now. I think we're talking about itemization. Creme already having that Malignance, so he wants to go for a lot of quick plays, make sure that they're exploding with the ultimate onto the objective or something like that. And we didn't really get to talk about it just because of all the replays, and we're setting up Creme. Those were some more grubs going over to AL. So now you have Shanks, who kind of has to be the man of the hour alongside Hope. What can he get done on a side lane now that he has the Void Mites? And who is really going to be able to match this guy? Because unless we're sending like Kanavi and multiple members, I think TS are going to find themselves in a bit of a tough spot if they're not winning objectives and winning team fights. And
that has been, at least statistical nature of Top Esports, is they have been winning team fights in a lot of these cases and a lot of their dominant wins. So we want to see if they can bubble that up back from game number 1. But AL feeling a lot more like themselves to some extent. Maybe not necessarily the draft being as crazy as top esports is, but it's been nice to see AL get back into position to be somewhere in this series.
And just taking a look at the map as well quickly as this Drake spawns, top esports looking to concede. They do have TP on 369 if they want to try and fight, but I'm looking at that bot side on the minimap. They have no vision in the river. The pink wards are looking real solid for AL, so they've got complete coverage over the entrances as well. And it's going to be one plate for 369 in exchange for the second dragon for AL going their way.
Top lane was going to be our head-to-head matchup that we really wanted to really just kind of get into the nitty-gritty of, and Flandre has done a fantastic job throughout the series so far of trying to be creative in team fights, whereas I feel so far this season, 369 by and far away the most consistent member. He's making sure that he's getting gold, and I love this from TES. He has always been the kind of guy that has been playing on the side lane so far in 2025, so already has a small advantage over his opponent, and I think pulling members of AL away from the objectives and saying, look, you cannot just all in on one side, I'm gonna be taking a turret.
And it's worth noting as well that Flandre has this item disadvantage because he's had to go window shopping, right? You want to start that Cosmic Drive. Yeah. You also want to stop the healing that Aatrox is going to do. And you also want the tier so that you can sustain in the long-form fights as you move later on into the game. So this is a lot of gold thrown onto a hodgepodge of items where Aatrox can go, Nadoi, me build Sundered Sky, me feel good, you know?
Yeah.
Sundered Sky's a hell of a drug, ain't it? But it is also so cool, not only like looking at their impacts in the game, but also seeing some of the motivation coming into this finals. I mean, for 369, all these years later, being able to say he can play these picks that Karsa called him out for. You see it on social media. It was so funny.
Yeah.
On the other side, Flandre has Jie watching him here, making him go try to visit up with Viper at first stand. We are seeing Crisp take a couple shots here and takes the Chains of Corruption from Hope, and nothing else going to come of that. Bot lane turret is under siege now as Between Worlds from Creme going to initiate a lot of the fight, but the Realm Warp will disengage Shanks.
I think that's a nice little escape tool, but maybe unwarranted. They'll trade the ultis either way.
Hope. What? Dude, two times in this single game where he gets away with a little bit of health on the targets that he's been trying to take down. Meanwhile, Kael had popped the quickness, tried to find an engage on Kanavi. Kanavi gets away from that one. Still has his flash available too.
How much more are AL going to try to squeeze out of this bottom side jungle? Because we have the Herald already being spawned. Drag is in 2.5 minutes, and I'm really looking at that top side objective. I want to see TES actually properly try to find a fight. You already have hit some of your first item powers here with Kanavi and 369, and we talked about Creme having to have a big influence in this game. Despite all of that, I think that they can look for these fights, especially before Shanks has already finished, you know, that Rod of Ages, which is starting to tick down. Flandre, like we said, with the window shopping. There is a window. We just need to see if TES can find it and how creative they are. There's no Rakan ultimate, right? Like, why not?
No, you're exactly right. Gold is a great representative of how fights should be going. Items are slightly better. And looking across the board, we've got those first items picked up for everybody on top esports. This is their chance, this is their opportunity to try and make that happen. And you can see they're making their way into this top side river, starting to clear out vision. Eyes really need to be on Creme. He's the one who got that large injection of gold. He's got 5 stacks on his Dark Seal, almost at that 2-item spike. He can take down Hope. All of the bot lane power is gone.
All right, we're getting double TPs coming in from AL to try to fight this one out. Here they come. Everybody's here. Maybe call the Avengers. They got the engage there. On to 369. He heals so damn much from the Sundered Sky. And now they found the backline. Hope is down. They found 2 quick kills in top esports. They're making mincemeat of anyone's legend.
You want to fight? We'll give you a fight. Top esports, take the Herald, take down AL, and have righted that ship in one fell swoop.
Well, Rude, you said that the explosive cast was going to be the most important cooldown, and honestly, it looked like it was a big waste here for AL. They're also going to be able to grab mid-tier 1, maybe a second charge of this Herald. Insane opener here for TES to find themselves back into this game, and they're even getting more done on the map.
369 takes the ire of anyone's legend at the beginning of this fight, and it pays dividends.
Just look at this. I mean, yes, Ryze is here, but look at how they're getting corralled. Flandre is putting all this damage onto Crisp. And while 369 is tanking all of this up thanks to the World Ender passive, all of these cooldowns are no longer available. And this was the problem when we saw the Jacks. You jump straight into an immobile backline, you destroy a Varus, And now you just have the full dive. They flexed into that ability to go right into the face of their opponents. Kaisa flies in, and it just feels like the early game woes that TES were having are gonna start to fade away as more and more gold is influxed into TES.
Yeah, they're long gone, right? We're not worried anymore about this top esports roster and what this composition can do, because we've got now to this mid-game point. Drake spawning just now. AL want to continue their Drake stacking, but all the momentum is with TES.
All that momentum, all the history between this matchup of just this early year already being bucked away here, potentially with top esports taking a little bit of advantage for their composition. Though AL, we've talked about them time and time again, they are scrappy as all get out. They will find ways to win these team fights.
Yeah, Jackie's just gonna go hit the mid wave right now. He got chunked pretty low. Creme maybe with this flank, but he gets spotted. I think this is a tough-ass TES. They are going to overextend themselves for this play. Biggest thing that I'm looking for. Oh, wait, JackeyLove's already almost dead.
JackeyLove's
Flandre with the
dead.
flank.
Flandre doing a classic top laner dance all over the ADC's face. Will end up forcing JackeyLove away. No way to get back. That was also his flash and his cleanse burn.
Yeah.
I mean, this is now the time, right? You know JackeyLove has to go back to base. AL need to force this Drake and rip it early.
Oh. He got the casket, you see the picture, but Dragon half health here. Tarzan front and center. Top esports looking for an angle in. Kanavi using this brush beautifully. Creme has a ton of damage in his pocket if he wants to pop it forward. 369 is there. JackeyLove finding an angle on the side. We're seeing them push AL away from the Dragon. There's the crescent guard. Tarzan can't even get close to the smite. Nice damage, though, as they already take 1-for-1 here. Shanks is in the middle of the fight. Crisp is going low. Flandre has a flank cast to the face, and we've seen this one before. AL, they're finding that scrappiness once again, and they take one for them, as now Kanavi finding a re-engage here on a Hope. The double counter-strike, and Kanavi's going ham, but goes down to Hope as he gets a double kill. Shanks going down to 369, and that's a top laner you got to deal with. Hope is pumping, 369 is pumping, and game 2 is on fire.
Ladies and gentlemen, we built up these top laners for a reason. 369 goes crazy on the back half of the team fight after Flandre pretty much wins the first half of it for AL. He catches out Crisp to start off with, burns that Unbreakable really early. So as soon as it burns, he goes down in an instant. The win is that Steal or the Secure goes to top esports, so that soul stacking not as present. But this entire fight, Flandre is buying so much space from top, decides I'll just kill the cow as well. And you're thinking at this stage, the game's just, or the fight's just won. But then 369 turns on a dime, finds Shanks, finds Kael.
Okay, guys, can we please stop killing JackeyLove, not only as an AD carry player, but like, we used all of our tools, right? It was the, again, Flandre ultimate. It was, again, Hope landing the ult from this Varus, but then there's no tools to stop a Jax, to stop an Aatrox from getting on top of you. So those are going to be really key to kind of see how AL are utilizing their spells. And now a very big spike coming in for anyone's legend. It is the finished Muramana here for Hope. So if there's any kind of way for them to be able to play as gold is even right now, we need to see them now start to move in, move their vision lineup, and I think their first task is really looking at some of these side lanes. I mean, Shanks already finished too.
Yeah, you got to be really careful. I like the damage profile that Hope can bring out as well. But I will just say, if there's one thing I've learned from being ADC over this last like year and a half of the meta, there's two people on the side of TES that make ADCs not exist, and there's one on the side of AL. So I don't know. We'll have to see how that all works out. But, yeah,
there are technically two top laners on TES if you think of Jack. So that's what I'm looking at.
The biggest bane to any ADCs existed is just being a top lane champ. That's all I'm saying.
Now, obviously, with those top laners being relatively stronger as well, 369 having not died, Kanavi having 4 kills, eyes need to be on them as well to see what they can do by way of taking out Hope, taking out Shanks as well. Aton has spawned down on that bot side, has been around for a couple of minutes at this point, and we're probably going to end up at this stalemate where Drake and the Baron spawn at the same time, and with Herald, or rather the Aton, being on that bot side of the map, it does make it so you can quite easily focus this bot side. But I want to point out that the rush of a Baron for top esports, very good between Rageblade Kaisa, Kanavi as well. If AL are caught lacking, top can do something pretty spicy.
We're getting some setup around this bot side, and we do have 2 items here finished for JackeyLove. I kind of wanted to ask you, because we've been kind of going back and forth on items here, Rude. Are we thinking of an AP Kaisa? I feel like AP Kaisa just ruins this game for AL and makes it much more playable for them, because I never want to get into auto attack range of someone like Flandre or even Shanks.
Yeah, exactly. Shanks is the big one for me. If I'm in auto attack range of him, he roots me and one-shots me as late game Ryze. So absolutely never. And AP as well makes their damage profile that much more diverse, right? You've got double AP from Creme and JackeyLove. You've then got double AD from Kanavi 369. It makes itemizing against this top esports roster so difficult. And as we're moving into this, mid now late game scenario, starting to favor that little bit more. Okay, top esports have stopped that early game harass. They found a fight already where they actually turned the game back around, and now AL starting up this Aton. They're going to get their stats drained, and Creme has got teleport. There's no great wards for him to get in if they want to stop this, but AL seem quite happy to take
gone.
this. Yeah.
Okay, well, top esports a little bit late to the party here. Hope having 3 items now. Oh my god, and then they still get caught. Kael looking for the quickness is now they just get the round warp on the back line. JackeyLove is still alive. JackeyLove, the main character for top esports. He's trying to find a way back in, but you said if he's in range of Shanks, you do not get to exist. And he's going down. Oh my god, it's a double kill for Shanks. The Aton GA is still there for AL, giving them the confidence to go at the throat of top esports. One more knockup leads to a triple kill for Shanks.
And the fake deaths as well. Only one of them burned. Hope, yes, goes down. But they find the Aton, they find all 5 members of top esports, and absolutely run away with the mid game.
And now there's also summoners gone. I mean, TES just looked like they wanted to just run on in there like, oh, well, the Aton's already gone, so yeah, we have to fight. I think it's a massive mistake for them. It's pretty simple, right? We've had the last 2 months now to look at what happens when Aton is taken. There is no reason for a team that I was just praising their macro for them to be taking this fight. I think it comes off of the back of a massive engage from Kael. I love this use of the Realm Warp coming in from Shanks. And we're just late. It just feels like everybody from the side of TS is now scrambling, saying, how are we going to be able to get back into this fight? How do we want to try and find this? It is Hope, like you said, that went down. And honestly, the fact that Jackie almost finds Shanks is really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, there were some really good sidesteps in there, but I mean, at this stage in the game, you just don't have it in you, unfortunately, as the Kaisa to take out that Ryze. And, some nice chaining of knockups there. We do get to see a little bit of why the Jax was picked. He used the Counter-Strike to immune Xin Zhao's knockup, but even still, Shanks being the focus currently, you're thinking he's got fake death. There's nothing really to be found here other than a couple of 100 gold. And for AL, eyes need to turn to this top side, right? We've got Baron spawned. They now need to find themselves a way back into this series as well. And this game, they've got the lead. They've got the advantage.
Oh, top esports looking for an angle here with 369. They got the Chains of Corruption out from Hope and a ton of damage from that hail of arrows straight onto Crisp. They're getting collapsed on now. I mean, this is trouble for top esports. They're trying to make something happen. Here comes the quickness from Kael. TP from Flandre. The cask is still available. Maybe he wants to take it. There he goes. On to JackeyLove. And JackeyLove on his skin can make nothing happen. He is gone, and AL are going to take 369 with him. No, he's going to flash out. Wind becomes lightning, and you cannot get away from that combo. One more auto. He's going to get out, maybe. Finally, a second wind becomes lightning. Claims his life for Realm Warp just for funsies. As actually, Kanavi got tagged by that. Tarzan was looking to take that audacious charge back, but not going to do it. In top esports, they can't find anything on Rift.
This might even turn into the Baron. They have a lot of great damage here with Ryze combos if they really want to. Instead, it seems like control of mid. TS, you stay too long in this wave.
That's massive damage. The piercing arrow and the great entrance hits, and Flandre goes for the flash play. They got another cask out.
Beautiful!
Beautiful between worlds from Creme. The mechanical excellence from the guy.
Alrighty, we'll take that to get him out. We know this guy can perform on the Aurora, but managing to keep himself alive there when really he should have gone down. I think this is a bit of a misplay from AL. They just found 2 kills onto really high value targets, and they get a mid wave and a flash from Creme. Should have been a little bit more. That top tier 1's still standing. You can look to try and take that. This is a replay though of how it all broke down.
I mean, the Kael so far on this Rakan has just looked insane, man. One of the reasons why we had him as one of our best supports in the league. Hyped up properly, so I think also kind of utilizing some of his champion pool for Fearless. But this fight, I'm surprised, honestly, that 369 lives for as long as he does. It really
Look at
drags
Oh,
out
we're
God.
going in. Oh, that blast cone gets Kael over the wall, and AL, they've cleared up another kill onto Crisp. Kanavi going down to the slope from Flandre, and a double kill for Shanks. Tarzan's on the back line, and AL. Oh my God, the 3-talent strike. Nothing can go right for Top Esports as Baron is now in the cards.
They find 4 members in the top side. Baron is going to be their prize. Top tier 1 as well. This is the sequence that we're looking for after a 1-team fight.
There it is. So it's going to be Flandre to answer, but for Grubs as well. We imagine after this Baron, they'll take their recalls, push out these waves, and all of these structures should fall. I mean, the mid-tier 2 is almost down. The Dragon's going to be spawning in a minute and a half, and that will be Soul for anyone's Legends, almost locking up the game in its entirety.
In 2025, with these 2 rosters, these organizations have played twice. It has gone to 4 games, both times, with Top Esports taking just 1 game in a best of 5 series against them. AL lost game number 1. At this rate, it's looking like they gave them the history win just to make sure that the narrative wasn't changed.
Yep. Okay. All right. Look, maybe didn't you vote for TES, man? Like, we get this replay.
Hey,
this fight just looks doomed, man.
Call
like,
him out, call him out.
Hope's Chris already gone, and then they're just trickling one by one. We'll have to see. We still got a lot of game here
This
to play.
hurts,
So
man.
this is just painful, and we talked about the bottom lane matchup last game. It was JackeyLove running over kids with this MF. This time around, we saw regular laning phases from Hope and Kael, and they just smashed it with this Varus, which is what we were expecting coming in. And I think that's super exciting from another franchise player on the opposite side on anyone's Legend.
Oh my, Kanavi trying to be a franchise player for Top Esports in the new year cannot survive the damage that Hope is putting out right now. And this is the AL we expect. I mean, we talked about their draft early on in this game. It feels like so long ago, but their draft was just so damn solid. And that gives a huge shout out to not only the availability of the champion pools, the flexibility, the strategy they have, but also gives a huge shout out to Tabe trying to right the ship here with the team. And they're doing so beautifully. More inhibs are going to be going down here. 2 of them to be, in fact, as AL pushing in 2 lanes with this Baron buff that's up for another minute and 20 seconds.
And they can retreat back to this Dragon if they want, but with Kanavi dead and with
Going.
Hope Varus
They
as
just
well,
win.
let's go for more.
Okay, maybe they just go for it. There's 3 cannon minions, by the way. I mean, this is just GG. They have to do something about these minions, and they have to get in there and clear it. Kael's just going to stop them from that. Kanavi already loses almost all of his health. By the way, that's the jungler taking down 369. Both Nexus turrets down. Final gas for Top Esports. Kanavi goes for the combo. And Top Esports, they are left with nothing in their hat as AL right the ship and right the wrongs of game 1. And we got a series on our hands.
1-1, we level it up, and AL with a great response here. They do standard laning, they take this Varus early on. The B1 power pick once again comes to fruition, and Hope just had an early lead, never looks back.
Yep.
It's
kinda
yeah, hey, I guess that's just the easiest definition there as well. That is it for game number 2. Before we get back to the desk, though, I know we had a subtitled Flandre interview ready to go, so let's go ahead and check that one out.
还是有的。赵礼杰他就给我发了个 I'm watching you， 我就送了的话，他就直接给我发问号，所以我就希望决赛也好好表现。我觉得为了去让 Web3请我吃饭，我一定要决赛好好发挥。